Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to New Life Live. Really glad you're with us here today on New Life. If you want to join us on radio, well, all you have to do is call us, 1-800-229-3000. It's that simple. Joining me today, Chris Williams, Dr. Sheri Keffer. Hi, guys.
Hey, Steve. It's great to be with you both.
It's good to be with you. Now, I have to tell you what happened yesterday. I got a little text from John Townsend. And John, you know, we are good buddies and we love each other and we get excited for each other when things happen. So he knew that I would be interested in this, so he sent it to me. And it was a picture of Justin Bieber and I think it's his wife holding People Fuel, the book that John just came out with.
Wow.
And there was an article about, you know, that they were seeking self-help or something like that. So I thought that was really cool because it's got a picture of her holding his book. She's reading People Fuel. I think that's awesome.
That's great.
Well, you know, I just couldn't let it go because I had gotten a little news the same day. So I sent it back to him and I said, my new book, Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles, is the #1 new release for kids. In the kids division on Amazon. And so he emails back and says, you know, oh, that's so exciting, you know, because he's happy for me. But I told him, it's not even out yet. So, I mean, you can't even buy it yet. So to be #1 of something that is not yet for sale, I don't even know how that happens. But anyway, I said it was kind of like a holographic victory. But we have a lot of fun together. But isn't that, it's really cool when you think about it, that John's book, you know, it's not just any old book. It's a book and it's being used by famous people. And I love it when famous people use your stuff, other people hear about it. And so anyway, and I hope that it'll be helpful to them. I don't even know much about the Biebers, you know, Justin Bieber and all of that, what's going on. But I don't know if they're married or not. Probably our people think, hey, you need to get with it. But anyway, good to be with you today. 1-800-229-3000. And, you know, we've got this great conference coming up, Chris. You're part of it. It's our 12 Steps to Happier. I talked a little bit about the first step the other day. You know, the second step, when you go beyond, I can't handle this, or my life's unmanageable, or me, just me. I don't have, in and of myself, the power to turn this stuff around. Then you are now open, well, what could? And you're able to acknowledge there is something more powerful than yourself. That's step 2.
Absolutely. It's critically important to know that, hey, on our own, especially, this is the gift of addiction. We know that our lives have become unmanageable and that we actually are insane. A lot of people don't realize how insane they are. And
it's insane to be insane and not know you're insane.
Absolutely.
Really, when you think about it.
And the gift that God brings to restore us to sanity, to give us a peace of mind and a peace of heart and clear thinking is unspeakable. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Well, and sometimes we don't even know we're insane. There's a tool out there. It's called a PCI, Personal Craziness Index. It's called a PICI. And you know what? When I look around my life and I begin to see my succulents are dying, I'll look over at Kyle and I'll say, honey, I think my picky is sicky right now, right? It's my life's unmanageable. And then I begin to go, what am I doing? And I need to get back into recovery and, you know, looking at myself and what I can do to make changes.
That's good.
Well, if you don't have peace of mind and you're giving everybody you meet a piece of your mind, we got some help for you. 1-800-229-3000.
For Most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Sheri Keffer, Intimate Deception. Tell me that's the name of the book.
It is. And you know why I called it Intimate Deception?
No, why? Probably because people are faithful to each other all the time? No.
I would love that, actually. But, you know, it's because people are really hurt by the lies people keep. And, you know, we throw this around, especially, you know, you got your recovery thing coming up, and people say addicts lie. They lie a lot. And we kind of throw that phrase around. But lying hurts, and I kind of take offense at that phrase, because in the work that I've done, the research that I've done, it shows that when there's deception, when there's sexual acting out, affairs, all that, it causes harm, and it even causes symptoms of post-traumatic stress. So it's not just lying; it's hurting somebody. So that's why I talk about the impact.
Yeah, okay, so here's something I talk about, and I bet you could explain it. Why do some women, when they find out the guy has been using pornography for 10 years, why do they say, I think that's more hurtful than if it had been a real person? Because we hear that sometimes. They say, oh, man, this is so hurtful. And the guy's thinking, hey, it's just pornography, no big deal. And she's going, listen, Buster, I think this can be more painful than even if that had been a real human being. Why would that be the thinking, Sheri?
Well, you know, it's interesting, because I think it's all hurtful. And I have had women say, you know, 10 years of porn hurts. It would have been better if it was, you know, an affair. And then I've had others say an affair is way worse than 10 years of porn. So without comparing, let me just talk about what you just said, is the deception piece. It's that you've been acting out with thousands of women over a decade, and I didn't know about it. You've kept it from me, and I've known in my gut. I've intuited that you've been distant, you've been angry with me, you've actually even at times blamed me for how my body looks, or you've blamed me that we're not connecting as well. And come to find out that you've been lying and harboring porn, and I'm not consenting to this, but that's what scrambled the eggs of our relationship for the last 10 years. So it's the length of time that they're deceived.
And for the person holding the deception, holding the lie, I mean, just the old adage, we're as sick as our secrets, it literally eats us from the inside out.
I know.
It just terrorizes the internal world, and then feeds the shame monster. And so that person will go in further and further and further, almost into their own black hole. There is real suffering there, and that also blinds them, unfortunately and tragically, to the impact that they're having on other people around them, especially their spouse or their partner.
Well, I just want to make the case too that, you know, if you're using porn and you're really messed up in your thinking, and don't be thinking, well, I might as well just go have an affair. No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is deception, no matter what the form. And you're disconnected, and you're not growing, and no wonder you're so miserable, and no wonder you're doing stuff to justify participating in something that's less than what God would have us do. So we want you to say, okay, there's a better way. I'm going to pick up that better way, and then get involved with the better way. That's what we're here for, and we've got that for you. We've got one coming up, Every Man's Battle for You, Restore, all of that. We've got Finding Freedom. If you're a woman and you're struggling in this area or any area, it's all there for you. You just have to call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now, you guys pick a caller, and let's talk with somebody, whoever you think from your little studio there.
How about Ashley from Portland, Oregon?
Ashley from Portland, Oregon. Ashley, how are you today? What's going on in your life that maybe we could help you with?
Hi, Steve. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
I wanted to talk to you guys about something I'm concerned about. I feel like I've been exhibiting symptoms of what I hope not is bipolar disorder. I'm going to see my nurse practitioner next week on the 11th. And before I talk to him about it, I wanted to ask you guys' opinion. If he does think this might be the problem I'm having,
what is the disorder? What disorder are you talking about?
I'm worried that I may have bipolar disorder.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I wanted to know what my next step is if he does believe that's what I have. What's my next step to treat it, and where do I go from here if that is what it is?
Sheri, what do you say to that?
So, can you just give us one sentence with your symptoms? What's happening?
Yes, ma'am. Last week, my son got really sick with the stomach flu, and I was up with him for 24 hours because he was really sick. And what I noticed that really concerned me was the next day, I wasn't tired. I was mostly really hyper. And I had noticed before that he did have a subject approach to me before, that one of the symptoms of bipolar disorder was you're really hyper and you don't get tired even if you've been up.
So whenever I'm assessing, I don't know what it's like for you, Chris, but you're looking for a long period of pattern, not something that's just situationally bent. Because, you could have a son who's sick and you could be anxious, and that could feel like that could feel like being hyper. So I would get a really good assessment. But I have a question for you, my dear. What about you is going to a nurse practitioner to ask a very, very important question about your brain? What's keeping you from going to an expert in understanding the brain, like a psychiatrist?
Well, the only option I have at the facility I go for treatment is called Lifeways. They don't have a actual registered psychologist. All they have is a nurse practitioner. And the only psychologists that accept my insurance aren't in my area. So it's kind of a financial thing that I can't see a actual expert.
Okay, so you know what I would do with you, and you might feel a little uncomfortable with me right now. Do you realize what an important diagnosis this is? This could change your whole life. It could change everything. And sometimes, I don't know what it is about us, that this is where we cut the corners. Instead of kind of looking at where is someplace I could cut out financially in order to save my shekels, to go see someone who is an expert that can dial it in. Once they dial in the medication, if that's what you have, because it could be anything, right? It could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be trauma. And so once they dial that very important diagnosis and the medication is, and you can actually be serviced someplace else, right? You can go through your insurance.
By a nurse practitioner,
right?
Too. But you need the diagnosis and the right prescription from somebody who they've spent years studying this and practicing in this area. Here's what I would do. I would go and I would look at my paperwork on the health reimbursement, the insurance, or whatever it's called there. I would see what it says about contesting or requesting, going beyond whatever service is available. And I would talk to somebody on the phone or face-to-face about your situation and your desire to have not a psychologist at this point, but a psychiatrist assess what's going on with you and prescribe the proper medication, whereupon you will follow up with the nurse practitioner that's there. And I would see what would happen, because a lot of times they don't tell you about it, but they have a procedure in place. Because, see, if you have a psychiatric diagnosis and they say, all we're going to let you do is talk to this person here, and then, heaven forbid, there's self-destruction or abuse of someone else because they limited the services, then they are liable for that. See, so they have a system in place, and you need to find what that system is. But let's just say this. If you had a blood disorder, they wouldn't be saying the only thing we're going to let you do is see a nurse practitioner for this strange blood disorder. You'd be referred out. They wouldn't want to necessarily because they're interested in, containing costs, but they have that built into the system, and if they don't, I would be really surprised.
Actually, this is a really complicated diagnosis. There's so much more involved than just staying up late. There's other behaviors and what we call mania. There's a lot of symptoms that we need to assess for here. So to summarize this up, we want you to go see a professional expert who is trained specifically, like a psychiatrist, in mental health issues for diagnosis. We want you to advocate with your insurance, and the last thing I want you to do is just pay attention and write down what you think are your symptoms. Okay, just track what's going on inside of you. That way, when you show up to the office, you can be very specific on what's going on inside of you.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad that you called. I hope other people listening can get a little glimpse of this. But a lot of times we think we don't have options, and most of the time these systems have some kind of option built in. Let's go to John, Columbus, Ohio. By the way, I'm going to send her Healing as a Choice. I hope that will help greatly. John, Columbus, Ohio. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for calling us.
Good.
How can we help you today?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you for what you guys do on the radio and helping people with problems that are really pretty difficult to deal with on their own. But the one question I have, and it's really just a thought for you to kind of consider, when I listen to your program, I listen to it probably 2-3 times a week. It's normally about the husband or the male that is looking at pornography or is having an affair. But there are as many women, or close to as many women, that are having affairs, and there really doesn't seem to be any discussion for the male that has been wronged by the other partner. And I was wondering, do you ever do any programs that relate to the male and that part of being hurt rather than just the female?
Hey, you know what? Great question. Let me just say this. In real life, my wife facilitates a group out of our church. It's a recovery group for women who have sexual integrity problems. And, whatever it is, some affair, some pornography, things like that. So in the real world, I just want you to know we are very aware that is a reality. But here's the thing. We don't make our program into anything other than what people call about. And so in doing that, we just take the calls. And if I had a call right now about a wife,
Jim.
I saw on your hey, look, right on we actually have a call. But I saw your thing. It said female affairs, and I went right to it. It's a very rare thing that we get a call about that. Now, in my personal life also.
And just to keep everybody listening, Steve, we have a female who had an affair who's on the call. So we got some cool calls lined up.
Interesting that you would ask that
I know.
But, I've people that listen all the time, they know that I was in a relationship where this happened to me. So, yes, absolutely. But we don't tend to, other than on September the 4th, get a lot of these calls. But, yeah, we'll deal with them right now that they're in. And I appreciate your phone call. And just because you made it, I'm going to send you one of these nice leather-bound restoration Bibles that I've got here to give away to you.
And you know,
Glad
John,
you called.
I think men are probably the most underserved who have had betrayed. And
Oh, yeah.
there's not...
I believe that.
Yeah, well, you get it, Steve. It happened to you. And I think they're afraid to come forward. They feel embarrassed and shame just like the women do. But they need help. They need help just like anybody who has an affair needs help.
All right. I'm really glad he called. It's so amazing that he calls, asks that question, and we have... Well, anyway, stay tuned. You're listening to New Life Live. We'll take a break and come right back for more New Life after this.
God pulled me out of the gutter of my life that I was living in.
I have done a lot of work over the last 40 years. This is the first time I've ever felt love.
I've had such a wonderful weekend here, and for the first time in a long time, I've felt at home.
And the Lord has set me free from my mother's story about me not being good enough.
The New Life Finding Freedom Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, September 20th to the 22nd.
We're going to talk about forgiveness and codependency. We're going to understand that family of origin, the unhealthy reactions to it. We're going to talk about the cycle of shame and surrender and developing the plan that moves us forward. There'll be 8 teaching sessions and 6 small group sessions.
To register or to learn more about the Finding Freedom Workshop, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I am living a new life, and I believe that I have the resources and tools to continue that.
Everybody wants to be happy, but the problem is so many of us are stuck in the struggles of life and weighed down by our past hurts and mistakes. If you want to learn how to become a happier you, join us for this year's Life Recovery Conference.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here, and a lot of times I hear people say, recovery just isn't for me, I'm not an addict. Well, actually, recovery is for everyone. If you're struggling in any area, you don't have to be an addict to do better when you surrender and take the steps to a happier life.
12 Steps to Happier with speakers Steve Arterburn, Dr. Dave Stoop, Chris Williams, Becky Brown, Jack West, and Amanda Anderson on Saturday, October 5th at Mariners Church in Irvine.
Come join me and our team of speakers for a day filled with wisdom and practical help.
12 Steps to Happier, October 5th at Mariners Church in Irvine. To register, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverygroups.com. That's 1-800-639-5433 or liferecoverygroups.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Yep, we're back. Steve Arterburn here. God is so very smart and reserving sex for marriage. And I'll tell you, you marry somebody. I don't think you get married. I mean, I'm sure there's some sociopaths or whatever, and they say, I'm going to marry this person, but boy, the second I'm married, I'm going to go have an affair. I think that would be like 1 in a billion people. Most people that you really want to make it work, you don't have the affair usually because you set out to. You have the affair because you say, oh, it won't hurt. I'll just go out with this person. I'll just spend a little time with this other person. My spouse doesn't need to know. Oh, this will be okay. I deserve this. And then guess what? You don't have it under control. You don't have a good sense of what your strength or lack of is. And boom, there it is. And forever and ever. And you know what happens? A lot of times you have the affair and you never forgive your spouse for you having the affair. You blame them and you get stuck and you stay stuck. Well, there's a way out. You can do something. You can humble yourself. You can get some help. There's a way to get help. You call us. We'll help you with it. Let's go to Jim, Fresno, California. Hi, Jim. Welcome to New Life. What's going on?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah.
Okay. Now, me and my wife have been married for 12 years. We've had some problems up and down the marriage. And here lately, we've had a little baby that's 3 years old, and we haven't been intimate since, and I just become emotionally unattached to me, and I think she's in an emotional affair. I don't know if it's physical, but I definitely think it's an emotional affair that she's having with somebody, because I tried to re-engage, by reading books and trying to, do little things to show that, that I still want her and I really want our marriage to work. And she's starting to say, oh, you're doing too much now. You never did this, and now you're doing too much, and it's just too much, slow down.
Okay, so the question for us then is what?
Should I try to find out if she's having an affair?
Okay, tell me why it is you think she's having an affair. Is there any evidence, a phone call, secretive behavior?
Right, her phone. She's constantly with her phone now. She used to leave her phone down on the counter. Now, every time it beeps, she's over there with it, or she's looking at it. And sometimes when I come by her, she'll click to something else.
Okay, so are you talking to her about that? Have you ever said to her, honey, when you click to something else, it makes me wonder what's going on. Would you mind telling me what you just clicked off of? Have you ever tried that?
I've started doing that, and then she'll say, that's too much. You don't need to know. You don't need to know that. Or, I don't need to know your stuff. You don't need to know my friends or
all right. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with Chris. Chris, that's not good. What do you think he should do then in those kind of situations?
Yeah, Jim, you're in a crisis. I mean, if she is ducking and dodging with her phone, and she's telling you that you don't need to know things about her life, and she doesn't need to know things about yours, and she is emotionally detached, whatever is going on is a threat to the marriage, right? Like maybe she's just surfing the net, or maybe she's shopping. I don't know, but whatever it is. And I think that it is, and she's saying it's too much. Have you gone to her and told her, hey, this is what the distance in our relationship is doing to me?
I don't know if I'd use that like that, but I've tried to express to her that I'm trying to show her that I'm still pursuing her, because
I think that's really good. But I also think that sometimes the other person, your wife, needs to hear how this is damaging you, how this hurts, and your fears and your concerns.
Call me insecure. She'll say you're insecure.
Well, and that's putting it back on you. And then I think that you need to really strengthen up here and saying, like, this isn't okay. This behavior is not okay. This is not okay. We have a 3-year-old. We have this marriage. Let's go to work. Let's figure out what's going on. Will you go to marriage counseling with me?
Well, and here's the thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if she's got a friend and she's texting mean things about you to her friend, it doesn't have to be an affair.
Exactly.
It's still it's creating a divide and a distance that's hurting any kind of potential for you to repair what's going on. So I would be saying, I think I would get off of the you're having an affair thing, and I would say, okay, look at us. You're protecting information from me. You're keeping things from me. I don't know if you don't like me and you're telling your friends, I don't care, but we got to get some help for this because we got a long life and we got a new baby ahead of ourselves, and who knows how much of her postpartum experience is playing into what's going on here. So I hope that you could have that conversation. When we come back, I want to hear a comment from Sheri about this, what she would recommend that you do. We'll do that right after this. 1-800-229-3080 3000. That's the phone number. I hope you'll call us. Join us. We'll be here for an hour and a half on New Life Live.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption. But you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
Glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and I want to, Sheri, as the author of Intimate Deception, I mean, there's some kind of deception going on here. I was just saying any kind of hiding on a phone. What do you think he should do? What's the best next step here?
So, you know what? I just say trust your gut. Trust your gut, Jim. And I think that's what gets scrambled. This idea of you asking her questions, her denying, minimizing, justifying. And the most painful part is she's making it about you. She's saying you're insecure. And that's actually a term. It's called gaslighting. When somebody is hiding something, whatever it is that she's hiding, and when they make it about you, saying you're insecure, it really causes you to question your own reality, and it makes you step back instead of pressing forward to find out what's going on, right? Y'all haven't had sex for 3 years, came right after the baby. She's got these stuff going on with her phone. I want you to stay the course. I want you to continue to press in, and I want you to stay on the line and let us get a therapist in the mix for you, because you know, it's scary for people to come clean. It's scary for people to tell. But the craziness that happens in a relationship when you don't tell is actually worse than telling. So we want to get you some support.
Mm-hmm. All right. So hold on. We're going to try to help you here. And I'll tell you, painful truth today. Now we have a chance to resolve versus, I think I might not tell. Oh my goodness, the power, the destructive power behind whatever it is that says I'm not going to tell. Most likely you need to tell, and you need to get it out there sooner than later, and be honest and open. You know, I wish they could be honest, where she could say, here's why I don't want you to look at my phone anymore. All right, let's go to Larry Sonnenberg. He's not on the phone. He's sitting right there. Larry, how you doing?
Doing good, Steve. Hi. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I want to read the note first and then talk about the support and how people can help us.
Okay. All right.
I'm a monthly donor to New Life and have inheritance money from my parents. I intended to use this inheritance and investment for myself and our 4 adult children. As I read the paperwork for this investment, I got a check in my inner self. One of our daughters, as well as my husband, got a loud and clear no for this investment. So I went back to prayer over this. I'm now decided to invest in the healing of people through New Life and its programs. It's
Wow,
great to
that's
know that no matter what the stock market does or how the economy is doing, this donation is the best investment I could make. And she's enclosed the check. So I just
Isn't
want
that
to,
great?
you know, folks, your donation to New Life is an investment. It's an investment in folks who are calling, that are hurting, who need to find some help in some better ways. It's an investment to help people get to a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
It's an investment in getting people to go see a counselor so they can get the help that they need. So we're looking for you to make an investment in New Life and consider it such. It's a donation. We'll use it wisely, and it makes a difference in people's lives. That's why we ask you to do it. And
you know, Larry, just on that story, I was thinking one way to never have that happen to you is never pray.
Mhm.
You know, I'm just so impressed that it was about prayer, that in prayer time they felt this. And so it's just another reminder to all of us, we need to be in prayer about our finances and where the money's going and who we give to.
So, folks, a one-time gift is wonderful. We're looking for that. We need some of that. Projections for the month just show us that we're going to be behind without some extra giving this month. But we also need Club New Life givers. So if you could join Club New Life, if you've never thought about it, if you've thought about it and thought it's not for me, call us at 800 New Life. Hear what the thank you gift is. It's an amazing gift, an 8-book set. Think of the benefits that we have. We're asking for 6 people a day, that's it, to sign up for Club New Life. Would you please be one of those 6? I'll leave it at that, and I know we need to get back to the
Please
calls.
do.
That's what this is about.
You bet. And also, a gift of any amount will send you this brand new book, Kirby McCook and Jesus Chronicles. It's a 12-year-old teaching other kids, 8 to 12, about the Bible in a way that's very hip and cool, and they'll love it, and it's funny, it's clever. Marcus Brotherton is a New York Times best-selling author. I was so blessed that he did this with me, and it's our way of making you look really good to those kids, grandkids, and nieces and nephews. That's our way of saying thank you. We'll send it to you for a gift of any amount. Let's go to Ann, Atlanta, Georgia. Ann, how you doing? What's going on today?
Hey there. How you guys doing today?
Doing okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, I've listened to your show off and on, and I've been telling myself I should call in for quite some time, and so I'm glad that you're available to take my call. Just a condensed background. My husband and I are coming up on 40 years of marriage. We have 4 adult children and several grandchildren. And when we married, I was quite young. Just didn't realize that getting married was not going to solve all my emotional issues that I had growing up, and issues with sexuality, and maybe a not so healthy relationship with my father. It wasn't abusive sexually, but it wasn't any kind of much communication in the household.
Mm-hmm.
So those things, they just kind of thought I had just swept them under the rug, and we had our children and been married for a wonderful man. No complaints about a husband whatsoever. He's just, if there was a perfect husband, and there's not, he's darn close. But so it was just a real surprise to me that after we'd been married about 25 years, I'd gone on a trip. He was not with me, and which was probably my first mistake. And but all those years I had set the stage for this. At first I thought it was a real precipitous fall, but it ended up, I think I've been realizing more that it was a slow erosion. That I was always had a weakness for flattery, weakness for attention from males that would give me affirmation, and I would always get close to the sin of adultery, but I would never cross the line. And this time I got too close, and I did.
And how long ago was that?
This was 14 years ago.
Okay.
And I have carried this I don't want any sympathy about this, but I've carried this burden for all that amount of time, and I just don't know what. I know that I listened to you before, and I know that you've counseled others, saying that the offended party, because it's a covenant between me and my husband and God, he has the right to know, that he's entitled to know. Yeah. And I have found every way out from under it. Any kind of opportunity God has brought up, I've just chickened out and had a coward's heart and just haven't done it.
All right. What do you think he would do? What's your biggest fear if you tell him? What's the worst
I know it'll break
projected
his heart.
downside? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, he's crazy about me, and our children are crazy about him, just love him, and he's growing, just really fruitful in his walk with the Lord. I, on the other hand, have just, I don't know if I just covered up well or if I'm just, what I probably am. I'm not fruitful, and I am not. I feel like I'm just drying up from the inside out.
Yeah. When's the last time you had contact with that? When's the last time you had contact with that person from 14 years ago?
Oh, it's been about 12 years ago. And it wasn't, and I'm almost more ashamed to say that it was really more of it wasn't any kind of attachment or a relationship. It was more just lust / one night stand thing, which is to my embarrassment to say that.
Okay.
I think I've done a thorough job before God of repenting of that, going back and seeing why, and I never realized that I just never dealt with that sin on the front end of it, of flattery and how I got my identity from that.
What happens to you today when somebody flatters you? What happens when you're flattered today?
I just pass it off, and I don't. Of course, I'm older, and I don't get as much flattery as I used to. So.
Okay.
But I've tried to ask myself, what I would do if I were younger and I got more like I used to. So.
Well, I feel for you. I'm glad that you called. We'll talk about it at the break here and try to give you our best wisdom, because the 12 steps are so wise that they talk about our need to make restitution, to make amends, except where we know that it would do more damage than good. And I think some people will use that as an excuse not to do anything, but in other cases it's a wise caution. And so we'll try to give you the best advice that we can when we come back. It's 1-800-229-3000. We'll be here another hour after this one. Hope you'll join us. We'll be back after this.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Columbus, Ohio, October 25th to the 27th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or go to newlife.com.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Last year, after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw, not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all. When you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and at the break, I just want you to know that we were talking, Ann, about a sense here from you of true, real, and genuine repentance and such genuine concern for your husband, who you have had not 1 ounce of blame or anything like that, which is so common when somebody has an affair. Well, if they hadn't been this. And so, Sheri, why don't you get us started on, we want to give you the best discernment here, Ann, and we'll start with Sheri here.
Well, hey, Ann, I am so proud of you. I got to tell you, you were talking and I was hanging on every word. And I was actually wishing I could be there with you when you disclosed. I know, because I get that courage and what it takes to actually come clean and confess. And, you know, I love the word. I love the Bible, because when it says confess our sins to one another and pray, I know our whole listenership is praying for you right now as you're contemplating this confession, because what confession means to reveal, to admit, to disclose where we've offended someone else. And the reason God wants us to do that is so that we can be clean and free and not collude with deceit. Right now, if we all help you keep the secret, and I'll go first. I feel like I would be colluding with deceit, and I can't do that, Ann. I think your heart is ready. And I love your tenderness. And Steve mentioned during the break, and I don't want to take it away from him, but I want to give him credit. He said, wouldn't it be amazing if Ann had her husband hear this actual recording, and that we could help you see your heart, help your husband see your heart, to know that you reached out and you were tender and you really wanted to do the right thing.
After you told him in time, you would maybe say, here's what I did and here's what they were saying. And I do think that, you know, it will be extremely hurtful to him. And one thought would be that you wouldn't do it just by yourself, that you would go see a counselor, a therapist, a licensed clinical therapist, a couple of times, and then you would say to him, I'd like you to join me. And then let that person help you in those 2 sessions. She might say 3. And then she's going to facilitate making, not negating the power of this, but try to help him through some of the stuff. And the next session might be without you. It might be just with him and her. That might really make this go well, because we want the marriage not to fall apart over a revelation of something that is long gone, and your heart is so open to healing there. Chris, your thoughts?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, and again, I just commend you, and you're ready. Sheri was saying this at the break. You're ready to let this go. I want to encourage you, as you go through this process, you're going to need to allow a lot of grace for your husband to experience whatever he's going to experience in the aftermath. And that I want you to put grace and time on your side, because this may take a while. And you may be in a place where you're very, very trustworthy, but this disclosure to him, even though it's long for you, is fresh for him. So he may clamp down on maybe some control issues, or, and I just want you to serve him in a way of joining him in his fear and really helping him restore that trust through being trustworthy. And it could be like, hey, if you want to look at my communications, you want to look at my phone, or whatever the case may be, that you're helping him through that process.
Okay.
And that could also mean space. That's the scary thing too. He may need some time and some space to process through this.
I have a question about the counselor thing. I mean,
real quick.
Should I tell him I'm going to see a counselor, or should I just go? I mean,
don't be secretive.
I would say to him, I've just got some things on my heart, and they've really been bothering me, and not really ready to talk about the struggle here. I don't have any, can't say that. I don't want to talk about, but I just need to go see a counselor. Or you just say, I'm going to go see a counselor, and I've got some things I want to deal with that I think a licensed clinical therapist that's a really good Christian could help me with, a little bit deeper than anything I've ever dealt with. And I hope he will just say, and then if he asks more questions, say, you know what, here's something. Let me go see this person a couple of times, and then you come join us, and then you be part of it.
Okay.
And surely that would give him the sense that
could a confession be revealed? Could that be if it's in front of a counselor? Could that be offensive to my husband in any way, or do you think he'd rather it be?
It could be offensive, but I think your heart would say, and the therapist would help you say this. I did this because I just could not imagine the kind of hurt that I've caused, and I wanted this to be the best possible outcome for you because I love you and I care about you, and I'm sorry if if you're offended by doing this in front of somebody, but my heart was, I want the best for us. I don't want this to destroy us. It was so long ago.
And you may even just own it and say, I didn't have enough courage. I tried. There were so many opportunities that came to me, and I kept walking away, and I needed someone to help me, hold me accountable.
Really good, Sheri. It really is. Okay.
Yeah, the accountable thing it would be good for me.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think I'm just going to keep sliding out from under it, and I just don't, and I know I'm just, I don't want to meet the Lord and Him say I wasted my life, the life that He gave me. So
yeah, we hear that. Okay, so hold on. We're going to try to find a really good counselor for you, and also, I'll just say this, that we'd love to talk with your husband. I'll talk with him personally. I do that every now and then. If he has any questions or trouble, I just want to encourage him to stay the course and understand that this is the real life, and this is why Jesus died for us, is because we all mess up in some way or another. And I'll ask everybody to pray for you too, Ann, and I'll pray for healing and hope to come through. I don't know what it is that you've done. Maybe there's something in your life that you're not too proud of. There's hope in truth. There's hope in confession. James 5:16, confess your sins one to another and pray for each other that you might truly be healed. And old Barbara Johnson, when she was alive and with the women of faith, she was saying all the time, we're only as sick as our secrets. And it really is so true. Sometimes, it's just another person is too fragile to hear the truth. Most of the time, we're too afraid to tell it. When somebody has the courage, God does great things to bring healing there. I believe that. If you need some help, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. This Finding Freedom workshop that's coming up is incredible. Every Man's Battle is just around the corner. And then in October, the thing that I think is the most powerful thing for marriages today, it's our Intimacy in Marriage Intensive. Please come join us for one of those. If you need some help, we can really help you. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And if you can help us, same number. To join us right now for our next program, you can call 1-800-229-3000. We're grateful for all you do to help us help others.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.